this evening and joining us for our third instance of our Innovator Speaker Series here with the University Business Collaboration Center. The UBCC is set up with the idea that the university has much to offer to the community. And we're looking for opportunities to work with the community, we're looking for the opportunity to work with businesses or municipalities, nonprofits. Let me know if you have some goals or some opportunities that we can work together, because we would love to collaborate with you. The Innovator Series is put together so that we can get share some knowledge of the community with students and with the community in the area. We've started with Jeff Cernahouse, was the first of our innovators, talking about some cutting-edge, state-of-the-art things with new business opportunities. But not all innovation starts with new businesses. We can even go forward with 100-year-old organizations like the
utility.
Like the utility, just like that. But Kevin has led some magnificent changes, some cutting-edge areas for the municipal utilities here in River Falls. He's going to give us some background, as well as talk about some of the changes, particularly in the wastewater area. And so I'm really looking forward to what Kevin's done in the past decade and what's happened with utilities before that. Kevin Westhuis, please.
Thank you very much, Blaine. Thank you. Thank you much. It's really good to see a lot of familiar faces in the crowd tonight. Thank you all for coming out. That always makes it a little bit easier, and you know that hope we're going to maybe be a little entertained tonight as well. We have a lot of serious subjects that we're covering, but also I think I want to engage you. If you have questions along the way, also please ask those questions. It's really nice of you to come out here and take part in this series that Blaine has put together. I always say, I don't know what else you'd be doing at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night, watching reruns of Price is Right. I don't know. So this is good. I think you're actually going to learn something tonight. I think you're going to go out of this room here when we're done saying, I'm glad I went to that. So that'd be my goal. How about that? Again, I'm Kevin Westhuis. I'm the utility director, and I also oversee public works for the city of River Falls. I've been with them for 13 years and a couple months, and I'm proud to say I have the opportunity to keep your lights on, your water running, and your toilets flushing. So how about that? Also, I'm able to help plow your streets, keep your parks mowed, keep the streets in decent shape. So that's our mission with a team of people that we're going to get to in just a second. So again, thanks for having me. I am pretty passionate about what I do, and it can't be done without a great team of people. I'm going to talk about this dryer project at the end. That's going to be kind of like our grand finale, because it is really cool. Mr. Gardner maybe has seen a little bit of that as well. I have some show and tell to go with that. It's quite a $10 million project that we have put together, and I'm going to get to that. And it's environmentally nice. It's I'll show you when we get there. So there's our team. I met with these folks this morning, and we talked about service, right? Here we are. We're public servants. In the word servants is service. And I said it's pretty easy to be like every community in America, right? You can serve, you can come to work, do your job, go home. Nothing wrong with that. I said, but here we are. We have the opportunity to serve our community. These folks, are paid well. We give them the tools they need, the equipment they need, and we're just going to ask them. I'm going to personally ask them to serve. I showed them a video of Culver's this morning, and I said, what is the difference between Culver's and every other restaurant, or a Quick Trip and every other gas station? It's not about money. It's about a plan. It's about saying please, saying thank you. How can I help you? No surprises, right? And so this is where I want these guys to get. I want to be different. I want them to make a difference in the community. These are ambassadors. They're on the streets every day talking to a lot of people. Now I'm repeating my speech from this morning a little bit, but they have the opportunity to serve. And here's the good news. Every single person on there is proud to wear the uniform. The ones that aren't are no longer with us, and we take good care of them. They take good care of us. They're proud of what they do. They take ownership in what they do, and ultimately, I think they feel like what they're doing matters. So that's what I try to get with them. We have, let me see if this works. We have 9 linemen. This is Wayne, 10 including Wayne. He's the superintendent. Dan, Tim, Jeremy, Cody, Pat, Jeff, Logan, and Zach Kitchenmeister over here on the left. Over here, let me see, right there he is. And then Virgil's our meter tech. So those guys keep your lights on. It's a pretty small crew. They're good. They go through a 4-year apprenticeship program. Their job is life and death every day. They've got to be with it when they get here. If they're not, they tell their teammates, I have something going on at home. Today is not the day you want me switching that out. They have to trust each other. They have to rely on each other. It's a life and death situation every day for those guys. And they're really, really good at what they do. They get up at 2 in the morning in ice storms, windstorms, rainstorms, and they go out, put the boots on, come in, get the trucks, go out and get the lights back on. We've become a lot more impatient society. 30 minutes now, like how come my lights aren't back on? And I'd like to say because they're in their house just tying their boots. They're on their way. So it takes time, right? You got to get out there. You got to diagnose problems, but they're very good. With that, then I'm going to talk about outage times in the next slide. Next group up is my water people right here. We have, I think, 9 of those guys. They do water and wastewater and the sewer collection system. So they take care of all of that, about 70 miles of sewer pipe and the wastewater treatment plant, every well, every water tower. They're testing that stuff every day, testing water daily, weekly, monthly, DNR samples, federal regulations. It's a complicated thing, and I tell them it's life or death. Right? That if you screw that up, people can die. You cannot screw that up. That's a serious deal. Take ownership in it. Take pride in what you do. It's a big deal. And these guys down here, so Mr. Scott Simpson, the city administrator, about 2 years ago, gave me the public works people right here. These are the guys that plow your streets, maintain your parks, put the barricades up for events. They're good. Again, they care a lot. You wouldn't believe the amount of pride they take in snow plowing. It's incredible. They did a record number of events this year, 27 events for snow plowing. Let me see. Charles Larson right here. Charles, he's the supervisor of that group, the manager. And he said the record he had before that was 23 or 24, so 27 events this year that they managed. They do a great job. These are facilities people here, Ken and Tom Dalton. They do facilities. These guys, David Holdenack, Joe Kierna, and Jeff Wolf, they do all the fleet. They do all the police cars, fire engines, every utility truck, everything. Those 3 guys handle all of that. So it's a pretty lean crew, but they're all bought in. Electric department, we've been around since 1900. So the same dam that sits right over here at Junction Falls produced the first electricity to light the lights on Main Street in 1900. So we've been in business for 126 years. We're proud of it. It's a business model that must work. Water since 1894. Believe it or not, on 2nd Street area, we do have some pipe in the ground from around that time yet that we'll be replacing, believe it or not. So they made good pipe back in those days. We're trying to get to all of that. We have a project plan that we're going to be replacing a lot of that. And wastewater since 1930. In 1900, the average lifespan was 48 years old. In 2000, it was about 78-ish. So we gained 30 years in 100 years. I'm going to say a lot of it's due to electricity, which then gave you clean water, refrigeration, and medicine, and all those things. But it's amazing what electricity did for standard of life in America, or in the world, I should say. The guys are proud of this one. So average yearly outage time for a River Falls municipal utility customer is about 38 minutes. So that's the average. So most people are never out. So 38 minutes, and a national average is 169 minutes. So we're beating that. Again, they work hard at making sure the connectors are right, the poles are right, the underground. They do replacement programs. We have things in place. Tree trimming, that's a big one. They're out now, and a lot of people complain about the tree trimming. Tree trimming has upped or lowered our outages by quite a bit because we trim the trees in the alleys and whatnot because branches fall. So there's that slide again. I like this one. Here we are. We're at 12.57 cents a kilowatt hour, River Falls Municipal Utilities. State of Wisconsin, the average is 18.27, nationally 17.45. Here's a Kevinism here. 12.57 cents a kilowatt hour. That's a penny a decade since 1900 on the average. How do we do that? I don't even know. So Yeah, for 19, so it hasn't been a cent a decade, but on the average, in 126 years, 1 cent a decade, we've increased prices to bring you the reliable electricity. You're only out for a half hour a year. So, pretty good deal, pretty good value. Average monthly bill for an average residential customer is about $107 a month here. I don't know, I had this map up here for some reason. We have, I don't know, how many of you know that we have, there's the University of Wisconsin River Falls right here. How many of you know that we have a substation that sits right just off the map here? It's called South Fork Substation. Now, yes?
We're not seeing that on the screen.
It's not, it's like right here. The substation's like,
Your pointer.
oh, it's like it's a very small red dot.
Okay.
Now I can't see it at all. It's real small. I can't even see it now. So I'll point with my finger. So the substation sits about here. I know we worked with Alan a lot on that. We had some squirrel outages over the last decade. And so we upgraded that substation. We trimmed a lot of bushes around it. And we underground everything from the substation up to your new substation here on campus. So I think it's been better since we've done that, Alan. Don't you agree?
Yeah, incredibly better. And I think I'll have a shout out to RFMU. When we redid our campus electrical substation, we have 2 different feeds coming in from 2 different substations from the utility. And so if we go down on one, we can switch over to the other one within minutes.
That's a great segue. And the other one I want to mention then is right by the old power plant. It's called the power plant substation. So we can switch to that one. That can feed our whole city, that one. So we have the one south of south of campus. We have the one on Winter Street at the old power plant. Then we have one behind Aldi's. That's called our north sub. So we have 3 spots where transmission lines come into our substations. And then from there it distributes throughout the community. We had an outage about, 6 weeks ago, and I think the north half of town was out, and we couldn't figure out what it was. Transmission line, there was a tree in a transmission line out by Spring Valley that caused that. And then XL Energy, that was their line. They had to go out and fix that. So you think about, again, an outage time of 38 minutes. It's a pretty vulnerable thing. It's just poles and wires. I mean, you get a tree on it, tips over, stuff happens. So again, I'm pretty amazed we're even able to keep it to that level. So, but yeah, so 3 substations, electric substations that we distribute amongst town. Then we also have our hydroelectric dam by the old power plant there. That still operates, and that produces enough electricity for about 75 homes a year, believe it or not. So still operating. Water, so let's go on to water. So we're going to keep this thing moving along. We'll talk about our aquifers, wells. This stuff, again, he just turned the tap on, right? No one thinks of any of this. But I think it's kind of fun. So did you know, this is interesting, the Sitter's water comes from 3 different aquifers. Now, I want to say a little bit about, so you've heard about PFAS in the news, right? PFAS not good. A lot of communities are fighting with that. You have to clean your water. We've had no detect for PFAS. So we tested heavy for that in the last 18 months. We have no detect for PFAS in our water. That's good news. Second piece of good news is River Falls sits right in the perfect spot on 3 different aquifers. So we're able to draw our water from 3 aquifers. So if one aquifer goes bad, we can get to another aquifer. So wells 2 and 3 that we have here are retrieved water from the St. Lawrence aquifer, 4 and 5 from the Jordan aquifer, and 6 from the Prairie du Chien aquifer. And the different colors show the different aquifers. So these are big bodies of water. Look at that. I mean, it goes all the way down to Iowa. It's like Great Lakes underneath the planet. So.
Well 2 is next to our fall.
What's that?
Well 2 is next to our fall.
Well 2 is right over here. We're going to go to that right here in just a second. We're going to go to that. That's good, though. 5 wells. Well number 1 was the original well. That's no longer here. And we couldn't go rename well 1 again. We had to start with 2. So we have 2 through 6 right now. So well 2 that Ben just talked about, that is, did you know, in your parking lot right across the street here where we parked today, some of you parked, there's a little gray building right there. That's well number 2. That's a water well. There it sits, right in your midst. I'm going to show you how deep it is in just a second. Well 4 sits under the Sycamore Tower. Well 6 is up in Highview Meadow. That's our newest one. Well 5 is out on Division Street, and then well 3 sits in a neighborhood. Here they are. Here's well 2. So look at this. I think that's it right here. Well 2. Opened in 1948. 1,180 gallons per minute. It goes 382 feet deep. That's the one right here on campus, right in your parking lot. Here's well 3, Cedar Street. It sits in a neighborhood. Well 4 sits underneath the Sycamore Water Tower. You can see that in the background. Well 5 is on Division Street, and there's our new one in well 6 up in Highview Meadows. So 530 feet deep, 386, 402. Not terrible. So I like to say, too, because the aquifers are there, the water's free, it's all about delivery. So you have to go get it and maintain the system. These are fun, and we got added a new water tower. This top one right here, I worked with former Chancellor Dean Van Galen on getting UW River Falls on that one. I was looking for these partnerships, right? How can the utility and city work with the university? And that thing sits right on your campus, and we're repainting it, and it's right behind your new centers over here. And I'm like, a lot of people are going to see that thing. So I checked with Mr. Simpson, our city administrator. I'm like, I want to partner with them. He said, if they pay for the paint and do that, we'll do it. So we put UW River Falls on there. I know it doesn't match your brand new logo, but I think it's nice when people get there, they know they're on campus, right? And I did have one complaint, and they said, I don't know why that's UW River Falls, that's not their tower. I said, well, if you just walk around to the edge a little bit, you can see it's River Falls. I said, you got to imagine that. So we believe in the partnership. We believe it's a good thing, so we're doing that. Our other ones here, Gulf View is up by the golf course. That's 250,000 gallons. Was just recently repainted to match our brand new North Tower. You see that up in Whitetail Corporate Park on top of the hill behind the police station. That's right there. So there's our new towers with our new logos. Sycamore Tower is the one with the old logo yet. So Sycamore Tower is called the legged tower because it's got legs. These are called spheroids here. And there's one more. Who knows where our other water supply is? This is for an umbrella. Yes. We have an umbrella right there. It is. It's called the Mound Reservoir. And Ben had his hand up, but Ben knows. Ben's at too many city meetings. He knows. Here you go. There you go. Mound Reservoir. This is our original reservoir. We rebuilt it in 1991. It's 750,000 gallons. Nobody knows where this thing is. It sits on top of the hill, kind of. Yes.
That was my great-grandparents' land.
Really?
Walkers.
There you go. This was the Walker's land up there. It's now the scouting trails up there. You can go up there and go for a real nice hike and go around that thing, actually. That's a good piece of information. This was the original water supply up there. There was a different type of cistern up there, but it's 750,000 gallons. And you compare that to our towers, which are 250, 300, 500. Yes, Alan?
So just a quick question. You're listing the gallons that those towers hold.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense for how many gallons the city uses in a 24-hour period?
Yeah, I do. Yep, and I think that's coming up. But I'll tell you right now, it's like 1.2 to 1.3 million gallons a day on an average day. Summertime with irrigation, we'll get over 2 million gallons a day. So that's about how much the city's using a day. And yeah, this thing is old, sits in the trees. Most people do not know this is here. This is really our main source. This could actually feed all of our community. Believe it or not, it could feed into all the systems. So we maintain 70.52 miles of public water mains. I would say it's like from here to Cadott, if you laid it end to end. So quite a bit. Here's our sizes of pipes that we have up to 16 inches. There's also almost 9 miles of private water mains that run through the city. So we have our work cut out for us, right, to maintain those, manage those, and whatnot. We had chlorine to the water, 1 part per million, and that's to keep the water clean. Some people say it tastes like chlorine. I don't really taste that, but you have to do that to make sure it doesn't, the water stays good. So, and then fluoride, we still put 0.5. We used to be at like 1 part per million. Now we're at half. We kind of knocked that down a little bit. Sometimes there's a lobby to get rid of that altogether. Some communities are getting rid of that. The Dental Association sends me a letter every year and thanks us for putting that in the water. So some people think it's good. Some people think it's not good. It's a 0.5 part per million. Polyphosphate, that goes in the water at 2.5 to 4.5 parts per million. That coats the inside of the pipes. The problem they had in Detroit was twofold. One, they have lead pipes, which we don't know we have. I don't think we have any. Two, they tried to save some money by not putting polyphosphate in the pipes. Didn't coat the pipes, so the lead leached out of the pipes into the water. So polyphosphate prevents leaching of pipe metals into the water. That's why we put it in there. It's not that much money, and it makes the water safe. And we do water testing every year, and we don't have any, there's no detects for lead in the water, and you can go on our website and see how clean the water is actually. We do it every year, and we get good grades. Sanitary sewer mains, again, about 70 miles of sewer. 3 lift stations. We used to have 5 when I started here. We removed 2, we have 3. So believe it or not, for 95% of the people in town, if you flush your toilet, it's all gravity, all the way to the wastewater treatment plant. Gravity. It just goes down, then it's sloped down to the street, and then a street, because the way we put the wastewater treatment plant at the lowest spot in the city, everything flows by gravity right to that, and it's all measured on slope with the pipes. So it's like a 1 to 3% slope or something. There's a engineering number for that. If it's 1.6 or something. If it's too much, it moves too fast. If it's not enough, it's stagnant. But there's 3 spots that we can't get the gravity. One is on the far side of the hill on, let me see, Royal Oaks. There's Highview Meadow by the golf course, and then down the other side it's called Royal Oaks. We have a lift station there to pump it out. There's one behind Comforts of Home, a lift station, and there's one out by Man Valley. So we have 3 spots where gravity doesn't work in this community. Other than that, it's all gravity. Most people don't know that either, I don't think. Screening, when it gets to the plant, we got a screen. Here, we screen out the big stuff. Grit removal, remove sand, gravel, other stuff there. That's kind of messy, but believe it or not, the stuff is way more liquid than you think it is. Then it comes to the plant, it goes to an oxidation ditch. This is all, there's nothing really added to our process here. Somebody back in the 20s and 30s discovered basically it's your digestive system, and they figured out how to put it in a ditch. And you have good bacteria and bad bacteria, and it's breaking down. The good bacteria breaks down the bad bacteria. And if you get on the edge of this ditch in certain spots, you can see this separation of the water, the good bacteria from the bad bacteria. If you ever get a chance to go out there, it's amazing. And you can actually see it separating right there. And the good water's going, and the bad water's going the other way. So it's called biological oxygen demand in the ditches. It removes organic material, and ammonia separates the solids from the clear waters. It's a pretty cool process. And we have a lab. So again, you think of wastewater treatment plants, like, oh, this stinky crap plant, whatever. No, this is a working laboratory out there. This is a white glove laboratory. This is where we're testing water. We're testing the stuff for the wastewater treatment plant. It's clean, sterile, state-certified lab. So again, raw water, wastewater, less than 1% of solids. That's coming into the plant right there on the left. That's going out on the right. Clean. You know, and I think I have a picture coming up here of it going back into the river. So you think about this. So whatever comes into the plant, about 99.9% of that, maybe a little bit more than that, goes back in the river. What's left is what I'm going to get to and show you of our new project here in just a second. But most of those comes into that plant. We treat it. It goes through the biological oxygen demand. Clean water separates from bad. We put it through a bunch of systems. What comes out of it is minuscule compared to what's going back into the river. And this stuff that's going back in the river, it's that clean. I've threatened to drink it, and you probably could, but they're like, you better not. So, but you potentially could. It's way cleaner than the river water. Then it goes on down the river to the next users. This is an interesting factoid. This is on here from our previous wastewater superintendent. Only about 1% of the water on the earth is available for human needs, but there's the same amount of H2O water today as when the earth was formed. So H2O molecule changes forms, changes shape, changes locations, but H2O is H2O and never goes away. It just changes locations, places, forms, shapes. It's in our body, bodies decay, goes back in the ground. Rains here, comes down, evaporates, goes over there. And it's not consistent, but same amount of H2O. So, but you only use about 1% of it. The rest is salt water tied up in the ice caps. So, hey, I'm going to go with a fun one here. Speaking of water, this is a total Kevinism if you know me. So think about the last few years in River Falls. It has been a special time on this campus. It's been a special time in River Falls. back to back to back women's hockey championships, national football championships. Annie Frisbee, she's 5th in the New York City Marathon. This is Sam Simpson, the city administrator's son, just full scholarship to Indiana, #1 team in the country. River Falls Fighting Fish, back-to-back state champions. History was made. Alex Call right there is with his World Series ring from the graduate of River Falls High School. History that those two guys, J.P. Fires and Alex Call, both World Series champions from the same high school, never happened before. Right here from River Falls, Wisconsin. All this, there they are. What's in the water? Something in the water here. Thank you. Spent a lot of time on that joke. That's got to be a commercial, right? I got to condense that. But what's in the water? Hey, come have a drink. River Falls water. You too could be a champion. But that, to me, for a town of 17,000 people, what this university and what this city has accomplished in that short time, it's amazing. Most communities get none of that ever. And there's something, like, as Matt Walker said, I don't know what's going on in this town, but something's different here. It's a pretty cool place. So, Public Works, let's hit on this real quick. Again, like I said, they do the parks, they do the snow plowing, city structures, and emerald ash borer. I'm going to have to go back to the closet because I have the number of lane miles. I want to get this for you. I have it in my notes that I left right here. Hold on. I have this right here. Okay, my lane miles. I had to ask them these questions, and they went ahead and got this for me, so I want to let you know. And before I tell you, so this is for a prize too. How many lane miles do you think our snow plows plow in a year? Or just plow it at one time, not in a year, but in one event? Like we have to get all the streets cleaned, how many miles?
1,200.
Too high? Come on, someone guess. 'Cause you're playing for an umbrella right now, so. 700. You're too high, but I'm going to tell you you're closer. It's 113.7 miles. There you go. So 113.7 miles of streets, trails, alleys, and parking lots. So, okay, let's play for another one. How many? This is not a trick question either. Now we're going to play for a mug. How many parks do we have in River Falls? How many parks that we maintain and you can go to? Go ahead over here.
I'm gonna say like 5.
More than that.
22.
Less than that.
15.
13 and 3 regional.
Upper, higher. 17. Well, you said 17. You're the closest. So we're going to stop guessing. So you get yourself a River Falls Municipal Utilities mug with our logo that was probably designed sometime in the 50s or 60s. So that logo we were ready to redo that logo about 5 years ago. Now it's so old and so unique, it's become retro. So we just skipped it. We're right back into it. Just leave it now. There is 28 parks in River Falls. Believe it or not, 28 parks, including regional parks, neighborhood parks, special use parks, pocket parks, linear parks, according to our outdoor rec plan. So 28 parks. So, and we're just going to keep on making more parks and more bike trails and make this the place people want to be. Emerald ash borer, that's almost done. We had about 1,800 trees in city right-of-way that we had to cut down, believe it or not. So we're almost done with that project. Wasson Lane, we're kind of prolonging the inevitable there, so that's going to be happening. I think it's going to start. I think we're going to do part of it later this year and then finish it off next year. I think people are really going to, last year you could kind of see it in some trees. This year it's probably really going to show its head. And by the end of next year, that's going to be it. So it's sad, right? I mean, we won't see trees like that again in our lifetime. So it's a sad deal. Emerald ash borer got us, got everybody, and we're trying to take care of that. So that's been an expensive, big undertaking. The city's taken a lot of those down, and then also we've partnered with others to help take them down as well. All right, let's get to the main event right here. So this is our wastewater treatment plant right here. Over here on the right side, where this is long runway, that's where the wastewater comes in. So this is the lowest spot in town. Everything is by gravity or 3 lift stations comes into this plant right here. Goes through that screener. I showed you that screener for getting the big stuff out of there. This is, when I golf, people are always trying to figure out which way the greens are braking, and I said, where's the wastewater treatment plant? It's going to all break to the wastewater treatment plant. That's the low spot. So anyway, water comes in there, goes through some screens, goes through some tertiary stuff here in this bin, then it goes to those big oval ditches there, and that's where the oxygen gets added through bubble aeration, and the good bugs, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria are working together. Lastly, it comes here where we're just spinning these around on top, and we're skimming it. And this water right here is pretty clean, and then what falls out of this goes into the DAF building right here with the green roof. So again, when the water leaves there, it goes back to the head of the plant, back into the river. And what doesn't come out of here is left, which is about 0.5% of what comes into the plant, not much. It goes into the DAF building. And we used to have a truck every single day from Ellsworth, Wisconsin, come back up to that. We'd fill that truck. So out of all that water, out of about the 1.3 million gallons that come in there every day, we have to take a truckload out every day. And it goes to Ellsworth. There's, I think, 13 communities in a consortium where they all bring their sludge there, and then they treat it and they land apply it. It's becoming very expensive. We spend about $700,000 a year to haul that stuff over there. You're basically hauling water. It's 3% soggy Wheaties. I don't know. It goes in that truck and goes there, and then they take care of it. So we said, why don't we not do that anymore and run an analysis to see if we build our own drying system and not do that if it works out. We did about 3 years of analysis, and it turned out we could invest, it was about $9.5 million, amortize that out, put our own drying system in. We will no longer have to truck this. So we're at the very verge of that happening right now. We're in our last 72-hour tests of that system. I'm going to show you some pictures. We'll be drying our own sludge. And you say, well, what is that sludge? I'm just going to go right to the end of that. So right here, I'm going to pass this around so when I talk, and I don't know, it's got a little smell to it, but it's not stinky. It smells kind of like dirt. You don't have to smell it if you don't want to, but this is our end product when it comes out of our dryer. It heats that stuff up to 650 degrees, runs it through a drying system. This is called Class A sludge. It can be land applied. You can put it on your lawn. You can put it on your garden. You can put it on a park. And this is what we will be producing. So a truckload of that will fit into about half a refrigerator box of this. So it really narrows that way down. The ratio, I think it's what's that?
Can you sell that?
You could, but here's the problem. We're not going to have enough to sell it, is the problem. And you'd have to bag it or market it, and so it's just not worth the effort. I don't think there's not going to be enough. We're going to say, well, how much? It's about a dump truck full a month on that, so not that much. But so we'll put it on our own parks, our own land. Maybe there's a partnership with the university. There'd be landscapers who would want it right away. We're talking about maybe just putting a pile out in front of the wastewater treatment plant where someone can come and get it, put it on their yard. So I'm just going to pass this around. We can start it here, and I'll just keep talking about this project. So that's the end product of what I'm going to show you right here. So this is the inside of our new building. Instead of going in that truck, that sludge, that 3% sludge is going to come to this brand new building. That green machine in the back is called a screw press. There it is right there, Schwing Bioset screw press. So the sludge comes into the screw press, and it goes from a 3% to a 20% solid. So you say, what's 20% solid? It'd be kind of like if you took a shovel full of dirt in your backyard. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like dirt. So we get it to 20%, 3 to 20. It comes out of there, and it's going to go down into this hopper. So this hopper was made by a fellow in the corporate park, so out of the Innovation Center. So that started from the Innovation Center. This is a partnership between the city and the university. This fellow here, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he started a company out there, and he built the hopper. His company did. So there was something that happened from the partnership at the Innovation Center. This guy built the hopper. So it comes out of there. The 20% product goes in the hopper. It's going to leave that hopper, and where that series of pipes is down there, I'm going to show you a close-up, is the actual dryer. So now we're getting closer. You can kind of see the dryer. It looks like a spaceship in there. This is a complicated, sophisticated thing, I'm telling you. You think it's just a dryer? Look at that. So there's the dryer. So it comes from the screw press into the hopper, out of the hopper, into the dryer, through the dryer. There it is. Look at that thing. It's like a spaceship. 600 and some degrees. Heat it up with oil. This boiler, oil flows through that thing at 600, I think it's 675 degrees, 650, 675. Comes out the other end. It goes up this little deal here, falls into this blower. That white thing is called a blower. And the blower blows it into the silo right there. And then we get that product right there. And then you can see there's a chute out of the end of that. You can pull your truck up underneath it. You can fill it or whatever. So I'm going to go back a few slides. So instead of just doing that, which is pretty easy, they just come and do it. $700, almost $750,000 a year to have that hauled away. We said, because this is just how we roll, we can do that ourselves. This won't be easy, but I think we can do it. So we spent $9.5 million on this building and these systems. And they're just doing the final testing on this. As you can see, it's worked, right? We've done it, but they just have still kind of tweaking it a little bit and making it work. So environmentally, you're having a product that can be land applied. There's no more trucks going down the highway. There's no more noise, so it's a bit easier on the streets, easier on the noise, less pollution, controlling it ourselves. And this is paid off. We're definitely going to be in the money because it'll be $1 million a year by the time this thing's done or more. So anyway, there it is. That's our brand new dryer building. And when this is done, we'll do a tour of that if people would like to go see that someday. But this is state of the art. Lake Delton has one of these, and there's a couple other in the state of Wisconsin, but there's not a lot of them. So we're not early adapters, but we're not late arrivers either. We're kind of on the front edge of early adapters, but it's been tried. And that's it. So electric, water, wastewater, sewer collections, end product. I think I'm going to throw one more thing in there about sewer. We just had the group in town. I don't know if you saw them or not. They were kind of in the City Hall area. Sewer lining. It's another good investment that somebody came up with about a dozen years ago. Used to be if the sewer pipe wore out, you'd have to cut the street curb to curb, 15 feet deep, remove the old sewer, put in a new sewer, millions of dollars. Well, somebody figured out how to line these things with like a kind of a resin fabric that goes in. I always say it's like pulling your sock off inside out. Well, they pull it in there and then they pull it back, and they put hot air in there and steam, and it adheres to the walls of the inside of this bad pipe. It's good for another 60 years. And it costs about I don't know, instead of spending $10 million, it's going to spend $300,000. So it's 1/20th of the cost. It's really efficient. It's affordable. You have a slight resin odor for 20 or 30 minutes, but that's a lot better than having your street ripped up for 6 weeks. So that's another thing we do with the sewers that we're really proactive in, and it's worked well. We've identified our worst sewers, 5 being the worst, 4, 3, 2, 1 being the best. I think we've got all of our 5s done. We're on to the 4s now. So that is also helped quite a bit. So any questions, comments, concerns, things that you're thinking about or wondering about?
Why do you have to do the fire hydrants, like every spring or something?
Oh, that's good. I love that question because I've done some videos on this. So why do you have to flush the hydrants? There's 3 reasons why you flush the hydrants. 1, DNR requires that you flush the system every year. That's 1. 2, we get to exercise every valve on every hydrant to make sure they work. And then 3, it builds confidence for the fire department to know they work. And if they don't work, we replace them. So there's a 3, actually, you do this exercise or anything, why are you doing that? Mandatory, builds confidence with the fire department, fix all the broken valves, make sure they work. So
how many fire hydrants are in the city?
920, something like that.
And how many bad valves do you find?
We find a couple every year. Yeah, and then we have a replacement program. I think we budget for about 5 a year to replace. So in the fire department, it keeps track of that. They know. Or if now what happens too, snow plowing. We did 27 events for snow. Snow plow will hit one. You get a bent rod, bent shaft. You got to go fix that. So and some of those we don't know about until we flush. You go, that thing's bent. Who hit that? Who was that truck driver that day? Send him the bill. So that's why we do that. And we used to do it twice a year. Now we just do it once a year, typically in June. I would say June.
It's fine when you do it.
We've had some kids run through it. I wouldn't recommend driving through it. I mean, you turn that thing on, that's pretty high pressure. Knock you over if you're close to it. But I've seen kids run through it and whatnot. Mike,
Isn't there a color coding? Do you want to talk about that?
color coding for the hydrants? I think there was. And what was that for? It was for the different pressure zones, I believe. Yes. For the fire department. So we had different colors. You said, why is some yellow, red, or was it marking? There's different pressure zones on those that they have coordinated with. So, question over here, yes, ma'am.
Are there certain chemicals that all communities test for in, say, a product like that?
Yes, so that is highly regulated by the DNR. So once we get our system operating, it's almost there, the DNR is going to spend a month probably testing that. They will look at that dryer, and you can get into that dryer. They test vectors in that dryer. They'll take a sample and see how dry it is. And it's got to be perfectly dry with no airs, 90% dry. And if it's not dry, they won't give you a permit to do that. So that's highly regulated. Even to land apply the stuff at Ellsworth, it's tricky sometimes, and it's not getting any easier. So, but we think we have a product here because it's Class A. You can also land apply Class B, but it's harder. You can't put it in as many spots. Class A you can put anywhere. But no, highly regulated. DNR heavily involved in that, checking that ad nauseum, which is good though. It's good for the community. It's good for us. Keeps us on our toes. That's a great question. So most everything we're doing with water and sewer is regulated.
What percentage of the city's services is, or how big a customer is the university compared to the rest?
That's a great question. And since we're on the university, I think I wanted to mention that as I was thinking this in bed last night. Number one customer right here, University of Wisconsin, River Falls. $1.2, $1.3 million a year customer. So it's big, number one. You're number one. So, and I know Alan and I too, in the city, in our utility, in the university, the opportunities for partnership here are great. I think we've been doing good. We're always striving to get better. Banners on poles, we want to help you, right? Let's figure out, you like this look? Nope, let's try these lights. So we're always trying, we're thinking about you guys all the time. We can be better, always, right? But this town, without this university, is Ellsworth? Or not, probably not, because they have the county seat. I don't know what it would be. It wouldn't be much. So that's part of the reason we were very, very anxious to support your room here in this building. Because what this university does for this community, you can't really measure it. I mean, you are not the community without the university. The things, the education, the vibrance, the athletics, the culture, the education opportunities, the population, the money, it's unbelievable. So I lived in Colorado for 23 years. I'm originally from Waupun, Wisconsin. The story ties together, by the way. So Waupun, prison town, right? We had prison there. But Waupun, of 12,000 people, is not close to River Falls. So I've discovered this. I was thinking about Green Lake, Wisconsin. Ripon, Wisconsin. They have a college in Ripon. And I always thought as a kid, why is Ripon different than Waupun? Similar size, close proximity. Ripon's got the college. They're different. It's different. There's a different vibe in Ripon. There's stuff going on in Ripon. Not so much in Waupun. So I lived in Colorado for 23 years, and my wife's from Chicago, and we always said, someday we'll maybe move back to the Midwest. And our criteria was we could find a town in the Midwest close to an international airport that also had a university in the town. Boom. And I know the university in the town was the key. Like, it's a different community, and it was it. So then this town job came up, and I'm like, hey, it's close to international airport. It's got a college in the town. This is going to be great. And it's not disappointed one time, so it's been awesome. So we're proud to partner. We want to help you guys stay viable forever if we can. So in our small little corner of the world. Question here.
What's the capacity of the drying plant?
How many? What we're building is about 50% of our total capacity that we can handle.
So
So we do about 1.3 million. Our capacity of the wastewater treatment plant is 1.9 million gallons. We're at like 1.4, 1.5 actually, and some points of the year, often 1.3. So we have about 25, 30% capacity left there. At normal growth rates, we probably have 15 years. We're starting to think about capital improvements and growing that. You know, one customer could tip that though, right?
I was thinking about how right now you're part of a consortium with the trucking it to
Oh, yeah.
certain places.
Yeah.
Could River Falls be a service to some of these?
We talked about that.
waste here?
And I think we have it right now. We have a general person's agreement to say if they run into trouble, we would help them. If we run into trouble, they'll take our stuff, like they've been doing for the last month or so as we're testing. We thought about actually maybe picking off a few of these non-members that bring their stuff there, but then we kind of get away from one of the reasons we did this, no trucking, right? So then you got trucks back in town. So I'm like, I think we could, but I think right now we're just going to go it alone. We want to keep the partnership and the relationship with Ellsworth. That's gone well. We can help them in a pinch. I don't think initially we want a partner to do their sludge. The truck stop out on the interstate by the new Quick Trip, what's that called, the Flying J? They bring their stuff to Ellsworth, their sludge. So we could intercept them. That was even asked, and I'm like, not right now. One of our selling points is no trucks, and all of a sudden we have trucks coming into town. So we're just gonna, we could, but it's not in the business plan today, but it's not potential opportunity. Yes, another question.
I'm just curious if you know who the original contractor was for the original treatment plant.
I don't know who that was. Do you know?
No, I don't know, but I mean, I was a student here a while ago. I would work for my dad in the summertime, and he built a lot of treatment plants in the area. I don't know, I don't think he did River Falls, but I'm just kind of curious.
And I don't know. I do know there's been HR Green was involved. We're using Strand right now for contracting. Waukesha is actually the general contractor for this dryer facility. So I don't know who was originally in the 30s.
Building the new facility here, how was the relationship with the general contractor and all that?
So and that's always tricky, just like when the university does stuff, right? So Waukesha did in those big oval tanks that adds oxygen, we contracted with them to do that, it's called fine bubble aeration. They put all these little bubble pads on the bottom of those big tanks. They're about 20 feet down. We had a really high successful project with them. This one's okay. It's a little bit behind schedule, but they were low bid, and we had a positive experience with them in the past. So we thought, here's a good marriage here to get this project done. The project's going okay, not as good as the bubble aeration project. So it's like, and then when you're just like this institution, you go out to bid. Low bid is kind of the criteria if they qualify. It's always nice when you had a previous experience with them to feel better about what you're doing. So.
This is just a comment. The program you have where you can sign up and get
This is good.
Yeah, I just got one. Someone left the sink on down in the basement. I'm getting this. I'm not watering my lawn. Why am I getting this warning?
Oh, yeah.
I just did 320 gallons, and we walked around and said, we left this.
So this is good. So if you live in town, and you're a River Falls Municipal Utility customer, you can sign up for a thing called My Account. And in My Account, you can set up alerts. So Patricia just says, I got an alert that I got to have high water usage. So you had a faucet on, what'd you have?
Yeah, well, down in the basement, we had been cleaning something, paintbrushes
Yeah.
and stuff, so it was just on a trickle. It wasn't like flowing
Yeah.
over. And then we go upstairs, and it must have been on for a couple days.
Sure, and you got an alert.
We've got an alert.
It was unusual amount of water.
Yeah.
So this is especially important for running toilets.
Yeah.
A running toilet will cost you, about $4,000 in a month. It uses an extraordinary amount of water. Yeah, 75,000 gallons, something. I don't know. It's a lot of money. So then the water's not that expensive, but you get charged sewer for it. That's what really gets you. So you can sign up on My Account for alerts. Get an alert, high water usage. We got one of those in the car once. We were coming home from vacation. I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? I'm in the car. I can't do anything. I have to wait till I get home. Hope the hose to the dishwasher's not broken and it's flooded, and it wasn't. So. Yes.
Kevin, as you look to the future, what's on the horizon for RFMU?
That's good. That's a good question. So let's stick with this one here. These type of systems, dryer systems and stuff, more efficient ways. I think putting greenhouses up instead of to do some bacteria removal will be a thing. UV light, they call it, light stuff that extracts some of the bad bacteria. That's going to be happening at wastewater treatment plant. For electric, I think cybersecurity, physical security, undergrounding. So did you realize that this community is 65% underground, believe it or not? The core of town is not, it's overhead, but because there's so much new stuff, we're 65% underground. When I was in Fort Collins, Colorado, I was hired there as a design engineer because they had an initiative from city council that said they want to go 100% underground. And they did, and it's beautiful. There is no wires anywhere. It's cost to that though, right? So I want to do an analysis before I retire that I want to ask the community basically, would you spend an extra half a cent for the next 20 years to fund undergrounding our entire system? That's, here's why it's good to have an underground. Safer during storms. Aesthetically, it's much more pleasing, but it costs you about twice as much to do it than overhead. So would the community want to invest their money in creating a totally underground system versus replacing overhead? I really want the answer to that question. Because I think people would say, yeah, that'd be nice. I probably could do that. Maybe they'll say, nope, let's just replace overhead and just keep going. I don't know. But I think we should put that question to the community through the city council and ask that question at some point. I'd like to get that done before I retire.
I have a question about that. So say something goes wrong
Yeah.
underground, how much harder is it to find that and fix it?
It's a little bit because, yeah, you need locators and cable thumpers. You need outage detection things where you have to go to every single switch and see if it's flipped or tripped. But with that said, there's better systems now electronically that if it trips, it'll be on the computer. You can kind of tell. So that's getting better. But no, it's harder to discover it, especially if it's in backyards and stuff. You don't know exactly where it is. But the equipment's getting better for fault detection. Better than it used to be. Now you just drive the lines and see, when it's underground, you don't know. You have to go open up every cabinet, look and see if fault indicator's tripped, isolate it, then you get the thumper out, and then it tells you, oh, it's here, I think. It takes a little bit longer.
But
So
you would hope that wouldn't happen as often.
it wouldn't happen as often, right? So fly more kites. I don't know. That's a very good question, though. I'm trying to think what else we're trying to do. Water-wise, again, some of the regulatory stuff we're always keeping our eyes on, PFAS and other things that are coming down the pipe, trying to think about how we would mitigate for those types of things. So a lot of these communities with high PFAS and other chemicals in the water having to go to reverse osmosis. So very, very expensive. So everything can be fixed with money, right? But you want to keep the rates down, but you have to be responsible and in compliance. So we're very aware of that. The mission, right? You want the community, with power, water, and sewer, but you want to keep them safe, reliable, and affordable. It's that juggling act.
So you did modeling to how much water, so a lot of these new industries are pulling a lot of water.
So what is that?
So a lot of these new industries are pulling a lot of water. Have
Yeah.
you done studies to figure out how much water River Falls can pull if they really wanted to per day?
We did do a study on that, and I don't know what that is. So the question Ben had, have we done an aquifer study? We did that about a year ago, actually, and it was presented to our city council. So in anticipation of the larger industries or whatever, you can see from the aquifer slide, we're in a really good spot as far as water availability. Those aquifers go, you can't imagine, but it's like a great lake underground. These things they're not like ponds. They're not like small lakes.
It's about 4 million gallons a day.
What's that?
It's 4 million gallons a day.
4 million gallons a day.
So you're at,
We're at like 1.3. Yeah, so that's the max you could draw is about 4 million. That's Ben's right on that. You paid attention in the meeting. Very good, Ben. Thank you.
so then you talk about partnership as in moving trees. Have you done partnerships with university to replace those trees?
I believe there is some partnerships going on. I believe we've got some trees in those rock beds, I think, or sand beds.
Where is that located at?
I think it's on the university grounds here. So there are some partnerships going on. Softball questions. He's just serving them up. So it's a good partnership. But we look for those types of partnerships, right? Agricultural institution. We need some of these things. There's things we can work together on. You guys have been a great partner on getting around out to Man Valley for water and sewer, and hopefully we're going to be able to maybe get some of those facilities plugged into your systems out there as well someday. So very good. Anything else that you guys have? I could sit here and talk here until tomorrow morning, so I like this topic.
So, two things. I've got
Yeah.
a compliment and one question.
Yeah.
First of all, I would say you talked about service, Kevin, and I think, in the facilities management here on campus, when we need something, it's amazing how fast your team is here.
Good,
We can
good.
call within 5 minutes, there's a line truck here.
That's good to hear.
And they're helping us get things back online. With it, I worked in Milwaukee, I worked in the Twin Cities, and we always cringed every time we had to call the utility because it was, they said, you know, they'll show up when they're good, ready to come.
Well, that's good. Well, it's nice of you to say that.
Yeah, so it's been a good
Thank you, Alan.
from that perspective. And then just curious, a question, I guess, on, you know, utility rates, say maybe over the next decade.
Yeah,
Obviously, they're probably increasing because all costs are increasing.
I think so.
But, you know, any thoughts on kind of
Yeah,
where utility rates are headed? Or-
yeah, it's fun to talk about this today at 12.5 cents a kilowatt hour when the state average is 18. I mean, we're headed to that, right? At some point, we're headed there. And some of these costs are out of our control. You know, we heard about data centers and stuff. Transmission lines need to be built. And whether there's a data center here or in Timbuktu, transmission lines need to be built. The generation companies and other transmission companies are building transmission lines. You're going to see those costs in your bill one way or the other, because like we're part of WPPI Energy to get our electricity. There's a 51 community consortium where WPPI Energy goes out and buys our power, and then we're part of that. So that 51 member community consortium works well rather than us just go doing it because it's a larger buying pool. But yeah, so their costs are going to go up, and they're paying more to wheel power to get power to the communities because of transmission costs going up. You got to build these transmission lines that we need. Well, those costs are coming to the bill at some point. It's not because we bought a new line truck or we hired 2 new people or we did overhead to underground conversions. This is stuff out of our control that's updating the system far away from here that will be passed on to get those electrons from hither to yond. So no, the push is up, and it's going to be a new generation, right? There's going to be nuclear. That's expensive. Wind and solar are great. They've done a lot of good peak shaving. So I'll talk a little bit about that. We have a community solar garden out in the corporate park that's sold out. There'll be more stuff like that, and those types of things are good. A lot of these wind and solar projects, there's cloudy days, there's rainy days when they don't produce quite as much, but there are times in the summer that they're shaving peak load and it's keeping costs down. Though I was in a meeting because I chair the rates group for WPPI, and what kind of predicted was going to happen is happening. So the peak hours are just shifting. So we used to have peak, you know, from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night. Well, because we're telling people, because we're using solar, so the costs are down then, and we tell people not to run that stuff to keep the house warmer. They just turn everything on at 7 o'clock at night. So the peak is shifting is what's happening. So now the energy costs that were cheaper at 9 o'clock at night actually are going up because people are using energy at different times of the day. I find that kind of interesting. So a little cheaper in the afternoon than it used to be, but more expensive at night now because you're just delaying getting your house cool. You still want a cool house, just a little later in the day. So I find that interesting.
Kevin is saying there's a shortage of electrical transmission lines feeding Hudson and kind of west central Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so over the next 10 years, there's going to be, Excel's going to have a lot of transmission lines coming in, bringing more power into this region just because of the growth we're seeing.
They had an open house. They had a couple open houses about that. Some stuff that's going past your UW farm in that area out there, substation next to the radio station. This is not secret news because they've had public open houses on this. So rerouting of their transmission, yes.
Those things that have to be done, right? Everybody wants to use their electricity, wants more power.
You got to move electrons. Yeah. And that was kind of a bottleneck too. So you have some of these nice wind farms in rural areas in North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa. You can't get the power out because there's not enough transmission to get the power out. Then you got to build a transmission line. Then people don't want the transmission line built, but you got to get the power. It's a chicken and egg thing. And nobody likes to be out more than 30 minutes at a time. And they want it cheap. So, yes,
Are you
Mike.
at all looking aggressively at cybersecurity with the idea that we have some threat?
Yeah, we do. So our IT department, I almost call them over the top on this stuff. I mean, they got everything on lockdown. Even in our new dryer building, there was a server. They're like, we want our own server. We don't want that connected to the internet in any way. So we are very aware of keeping all of our systems, if possible, off the accessible internet. So it's all behind firewalls and stuff. So now we're very, very in tune with that. Not perfect. And then we're getting tested as employees all the time with the trick emails and all that. And then I have to go take the remedial class for 20 minutes because I clicked on something I wasn't supposed to. So, no, we're doing that. We take that very seriously. So,
Any other questions?
yeah. But I just appreciate your attentiveness and the engagement we were able to have today. We're proud to be able to serve the community. We have a great team, and I'm glad you're interested, and we're here to help you and here to serve you.
And Kevin, thank you very much
Yeah.
for the time. I'm going to grab a clicker. from
Yes,
you.
please
Thank
do.
you. And thanks everyone for joining us. I'm going to hand around a sign-up sheet. This is our, whoops, there we go. As I mentioned, the University Business Collaboration Center, we are looking for partnerships. Email address is very easy to remember, ubcc@uwrf.edu. If you've got some ideas, please let me know. We'd love to work with any part of the community. And this is for, not just for the sciences, here we are in the SciTech building, but anywhere across campus. I can help pull those partnerships together. We do have the reception here. This is our final of our innovation speaker series of the year. I'll be starting this back up in the fall, and that's why I'm asking for your email addresses so I can send you a note to let you know when those will be coming back in our fall semester. Again, the reception is featuring some meats and cheeses from our Falcon Foods, so those are made on campus. The cheese is put together by milk that was raised on our farm. Students made the cheeses, and hope that you'll enjoy that. And again, Kevin, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you, Blaine.
Appreciate your time.
All right, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.